actually, just on the apple cider vinegar thing, that's something I use, I've used over the years. If you ever have a UTI or anything like that, it will wipe it out.
It does. It regulates your pH. It's really, really, yeah. And it should be, I use the brand with the mother. It should be raw, unpasteurized. It should be the real stuff. You can also make it. If you're making an apple pie, save your cores and your apple peels, toss them in a bowl of water with some sugar and cover it so fruit flies don't get in. And literally, you just make your own. I mean, I have instructions on my blog. It takes a while, but you can really make it for free.
Sorry. I highly recommend Bragg's.
Yeah. It is a little more expensive, but I mean, you're only using a tablespoon a couple times a week, so it goes a long way. Yeah, it does last forever.
It lasts forever.
Yeah, and you can buy the gallon at Sam's Club or whatever. And then if you don't add the garlic powder, you can add fresh garlic cloves to the water. You just take the garlic clove and kind of squish it up a little because you want to break up the clove. And I'll throw 1 or 2 cloves in the water 1 or 2 times a week. And again, I do all of this with the chicks too. And by the time they're adults, they're just used to it. They really do get accustomed to the taste. We have ducks, and they actually eat the cloves out of the water, so that doesn't work. So I just went back to the garlic powder and the feed. But those are the 2 things that I add to the water, again, a couple times a week, and I just think it makes a huge, huge difference in their health. So.
What do you use to put your water in for your chicks?
For the chicks? Well, for the baby chicks, I do use the little, mason jar, with the water thing.
Whole things on the side?
Yeah, and they come in plastic or metal or whatever. They do tip over, so they're not perfect and they get full of shavings and stuff. But that is what I use for the chicks.
As they grow into adults, do you use something different?
Well, we have ducks too, so the ducks need to get their bills in the water to keep their mucous membranes moist, so I use black rubber tubs. I think they're probably horse feed tubs that Tractor Supply sells, those big black rubber tubs. But those are really good in the winter because they don't freeze as quick as a traditional waterer does, so because they have a bigger surface area and they're black.
Do you need heat in your chicken coop?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say no. If you have sick chickens or if you have young ones, if you have somebody who's really seriously molting in the middle of the winter, maybe. But otherwise, no.
What's your question?
Heat in the coop. Yeah, that's probably the biggest mistake people make is thinking that their chickens are cold. Chickens are really good down to 40 degrees. They're most comfortable, say 40 degrees to about 65 degrees. After that, they deal with cold way better than with heat. In the heat, the chickens really suffer, and they can die of heat stroke. So in the summer, you really want to give them, lots of shade, lots of cool water, frozen water, ventilation in the coop, all that stuff. In the winter, we're in Virginia, so it does get down below freezing, not for very long. But I shut all those side windows in the winter, and I have vents up right under the eaves, about this big with welded wire over them. Those stay open year round. Frostbite actually is caused by moisture more than cold. So you really, really need ventilation year round, no matter where. I don't care if you live in Alaska. I have people who follow me who live in Alaska who don't have heated coops. They don't even sometimes have insulated coops. They just make sure that they're draft free. I put a really, really thick layer of straw on the floor. And you can even put straw bales around the edges of the walls.
When you're saying really thick, you said 2 foot.
Yeah, if you're up north, yeah. I do about a foot and a half.
And put the chickens on top of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Straw, I read something, and I don't remember it. I don't really know much about RH. I don't know, insulation factors or whatever. But straw rates way up there. So if you're using anything other than straw in your coop in the winter, I would definitely rethink that. Straw is because it has because it's hollow, and it traps the warm air in the, so when winter starts, I stack maybe 2 high straw bales around the walls of my coop. And I just leave it there all winter. And then in the spring, when I clean my coop out, I use some of it as new bedding, and I just kind of use it until it's gone, so it's not even wasteful. So I would recommend that instead of heating your coop, because coop heat is dangerous. Chickens and straw and electricity and all that. Yeah.
Where do you get straw as opposed to hay?
Well, feed stores should sell both. Hay is an animal feed. Straw is animal bedding. You can, I mean, you can use straw. I know a lot of people use straw in their coops. I don't, because Virginia is really warm and humid. And even our straw for our horses, sometimes it molds, you know, before we get to it. So straw has a much higher chance of molding. Hay has a much higher chance. Straw is dried. So, I mean, unless it really gets wet, your straw is not going to mold. So, and I don't think hay's not hollow either. Hay's
No, it's
yeah.
So you use just straw on the floor to varying thicknesses, but you said you just leave that one layer there for how long? Like,
Well, you know, it depends because they are only in the coop really at night till lay their eggs or to sleep, you know, lay their eggs or to sleep at night. So under the roosts is where they poop. So every morning I rake out that, you know, I toss it in the compost pile. But the rest of the floor, I mean, it doesn't really get dirty. You know, and they go through it, like if I'm late letting them out in the morning, they poke through it looking for treats or whatever, you know, so they kind of turn it over. So, I mean, in the summer, I only put down maybe 6 inches or so, and I just kind of leave it until I feel like I should change
okay,
it.
because you don't have it under the roost.
Oh, I do.
Oh.
I do, but that I rake out and I put new in
Okay.
as needed
And
or
so,
shuffle around.
but you have to let them out each morning,
Mhm.
and then in the evening, they come back in, I mean, you just
Correct.
open the door and.
Yeah, they at dusk, they are just programmed to know that everything wants to eat them and they need to be getting pretty much. It's like a bell goes off. I mean, we do, like after dinner, we feed the horses and I let the chickens out and into the pasture to roam around and get their free range and get some exercise for an hour or two, depending on the time of year. And they'll all be poking around and doing things. And it's like a bell goes off. They all just look up and run. I mean, and they're all like on the roost. I'm like, okay then. I mean, when I first started, I you know, everyone learns. And I would try to get them in when I thought it was bedtime, chasing them and trying to corral them and this and that. And then I read something or somebody told me something, and if you just wait, they just do it themselves. So,
We have a coop that's in a barn, and the barn is not that far from the house. And we really would just assume them not to get up on the porch. Can you clip their wings, or is there some practice? Or do you just need to keep a coop far enough from the?
I mean, you can clip their wings, but they're still going to flutter and flop and get where they want to pretty much. The lighter breeds. I mean, the heavier breeds won't. But if you let them free range, they're going to go anywhere. They're going to poop on your front porch. They're going to eat your gardens. They're going to, you know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it's worse when like someone will say to me, my chickens are going over and pooping on my neighbor's front porch. What can I do? You need to build a pen. Pretty much. I mean, they're, you know.
Is there anything, we're in a suburban environment, is there anything unique about the chicken tractors? And we think we want to go that way, but we're not sure.
I'm kind of mixed about that. I mean, it's good because they're on new grass all the time. They're safer. You know, a predator could dig underneath them because they usually don't have a bottom, but if you're home all day and stuff, so that there are pluses to them, but they're in a limited space. Bottom line, and pecking and boredom can be a huge issue. And chickens will literally peck themselves to death, peck each other to death. I mean, so you got to kind of decide. I mean, I'd say limited time in a tractor to move them around to different areas where they can fertilize and eat the grass, but not as a permanent run solution, I don't think. I think a stationary run, even though it might just end up being dirt after the first few weeks, is still better because they've got the space and they can, you know, run and play and jump on things and whatever. So.
Do you let them out in the snow?
Mhm. They won't walk on it.
Has snow.
Yeah, we get snow a couple times a winter and they absolutely refuse to walk on it. So, because they're not spoiled at all, I shovel a path from the coop. Then I put down straw for them. Then I put a little windbreak on a corner, a sunny corner of the run, and I put some treats there for them so they can spend their day outside in the fresh air.
We have more than 1 day of snow.
Yeah, and what you can do, I mean, you can put down stumps or logs or put some roosts outside so they can come outside but get up off the snow. I mean, they'll love being outside on a nice warm day, but they do not want to walk on the snow. Like flat out, do not want to put their feet in the snow. So,
I've got a question about the pecking. As a little girl, I watched in my grandmother's chicken yard. If there's an injured chicken, the other chickens won't try to help her. They'll peck her to death.
yeah.
Why is that?
They're attracted to the color red. That's why a lot of times chick feeders and waterers are red. I don't know, genetically why they're attracted to the color red because they don't really eat red foods per se. But yeah, and it could be a flock member. It could hurt the whole flock. So yeah, if you see pecking or anything, you got to get her out of there, immediately because they will kill her, which is pretty tragic. But they take their pecking order so seriously too that if they see one up higher in the order is injured, they're definitely going to take her out because they can move up higher in the order. So they are. They're yeah. Yeah.
If all you want, at least at first, all you want are eggs, you do not have to have a rooster, am I correct?
Correct.
All right, if you have a rooster, I've been told that it gets rather violent. A rooster will get pretty violent with the hens.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of roosters. I think they're beautiful and I like their crowing, like maybe once in the morning, not all day long, like they do. But when I've had a rooster, my hens have never looked so bad. They are ripped up. They're missing feathers from the backs of their heads. Sometimes under their wings is like down to bone. The rooster grabs on with his talons. And I've had like 16 hens to one rooster, which is a pretty good ratio. Like for breeding, you're looking at like maybe one rooster to 4 to 6 hens. And for a regular flock, a rooster for a dozen hens. I've had 16 hens and they always seem to pick their favorites. And our rooster nearly killed one of our hens this summer because she was a favorite and he just overmated her. So I'm not a huge fan of roosters, honestly. There's a lot of tension in the flock and, it doesn't affect laying at all. You're still going to get eggs. I actually get more eggs when I don't have a rooster because they're not as stressed. Trying to run away from the guy. Yeah.
Like when you order chicks, and I only want can you order the amount that you want, like from a feed store?
Well, feed stores, yeah. Well, some states, because people buy them like for Easter and then they dump them and whatever, some states have minimums, I think, around Easter time. But like My Pet Chicken or Meyer Hatchery, they're both online. I think they have a minimum of 3, depending on where you live and how rural you are. And you can pick 3 different breeds. You don't have to pick all the same breeds. So yeah, you can definitely just start a small flock. Some like McMurray, I believe, you have to order like 15 or 25 or some large amount.
Yeah.
But some of the smaller hatcheries, they have very small minimums. And if you're ordering in the spring, it's warm enough so that they'll make the trip okay.
Now, when you order chicks, how do you know if there's a rooster in it or not?
Well, the hatcheries, chicks are pretty easy to sex if you know what you're doing. 90% accuracy. I've ordered, like in all these years and all the chicks I've ordered, I have never gotten a rooster by accident. They're pretty good. If you buy at the feed stores, I can almost guarantee you'll get a rooster because they just tell you they're all hens, but they're not. But yeah.
At a feed store, that's okay.
And feed stores, they get mixed up in the bins and someone will think they're buying one thing and it's not. But if you order
is it best to order from?
Well, the feed stores do order from hatcheries, so you're not even really buying local, unless your feed store sources from a local farm.
Yeah.
So it depends on where they're sourcing from, but the hatcheries are reputable, and I've used both My Pet Chicken and Meyer and gotten great chickens from them.
So where are the hatcheries?
My Pet Chicken's in Connecticut. Meyer Hatchery, I think, is in Ohio, but they ship around the country.
Okay.
But you can check your feed store. You can, they might have a local farm that they get from.
But the one list where the chickens are from, and they're already the way they sex them is they put an X on them.
Oh, that's nice.
And they usually have like 6 different hatcheries they get from every week.
You should read Backyard Poultry magazine too, because when I was getting into chickens and not knowing anything, I was a wealth of information, and I literally spent hours on the internet looking at hatcheries and reading all about it, and they will walk you through the process. So
I agree,
Backyard
yeah.
Poultry magazine.
Also, Hobby Farms Chickens is a great magazine. Of course, Hobby Farms Chickens. Chickens. I think those are really the only 2 that specialize in chickens now. And then, of course, my blog, Fresh Eggs Daily, or Alan's Chicken Chat, my Facebook page. But be careful. You can read online, and there's a lot of misinformation. So just make sure you're using reputable sources.
We're also targeting for scratch. We're wanting to Does it matter if you use breeds at that stage?
If you do what?
If you use breeds,
Pick all different breeds. It's more fun. Definitely more fun. All right, I guess we're done. We're getting the. Are we done? Oh, you had a question? Yeah. Okay.
I have 5 chicken hens that are like 5 months old, and so we built a coop. They're real happy so far, and now they say they start laying about 7 or 8 months. You know, for eggs, is that wrong? And then how many nesting boxes for 5 chickens? What's the average for nesting boxes?
Okay, first of all, anytime after 18 weeks, I start to get excited for eggs, and then usually it's like about 22 weeks by the time I actually get an egg. But I mean, some people say that at 16 weeks they'll get an egg. So, you know, anywhere around that time. I mean, I've had one start as late as 38 weeks. It depends on the hen breed. But 22, 24 weeks, so about 6 months. Nesting boxes, rule of thumb is 1 box for every 3 to 5 hens. They're all going to use the same one. Doesn't matter. You could have 14 boxes or 14 chickens, and they're all going to use the same box.
Each one have one?
You know, you might as well build them because you're probably going to want more chickens, you know, down the road or whatever. But yeah, it really doesn't matter.
Do they sell chickens eggs then?
They will. Yeah. They don't care for them. No, they're not territorial like that. They don't mind. Not at all.